Call this council meeting back to order. Now that we're back in open session, if I could have Councillors Bruno and Bagu move that council rise and reconvene from closed session at 6:30 p.m. without report. Questions? All in favor? That's carried. At this time, if you're able, please rise for our national anthem, followed by our land acknowledgement.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command, car ton bras s'est porté l'épée, il s'est porté la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
The Niagara region is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations such as the Hattaway-Wendourok, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The city of Port Colborne stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live.
Okay, Council, we have a statutory public meeting this evening. It's item 8.1, public meeting report for proposed expansion to the downtown community improvement plan area, 395 Elm Street, number 202616. So Mr. Cotton is coming forward and he'll go through this with us.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to council and to those gathered here. 395, the owners of 395 Elm Street have asked for it to be added to our downtown CIP area. The downtown CIP area has certain development incentives for increasing residential within that area. This property currently touches, is immediately adjacent and abuts the current CIP area. So therefore, under our CIP plan, you can request to be added. Only the property touching can be added. Any properties touching that property will not be added automatically. This will allow, the proponent that owns the property is interested in building a 78-unit residential apartment building on it, and adding into the CIP supports that future development.
Great, thank you, Mr. Cotton. Any questions from council on this one at this time before I go to the public? Seeing none, anybody here from the public that wishes to speak to this? Okay, there's nobody online? Okay, thank you. So seeing nobody wants to speak, staff, anything further to add? Oh, sorry, Councillor.
I guess through you, Your Worship, to Bram. Is there any reason why the lines are the way they are? Are they completely arbitrary? Like what kind of thought went into actually putting CIP lines together?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to council and to Councillor Bogart. So we hired a CIP consultant back in 2023 who went through, we did the entire comprehensive, they reviewed all of the areas. This was their recommendation at the time. We looked to grow it, so it did grow farther west to connect some of the areas together. This property was not included. The idea was stick to the main street coming that way, which would have been Main Street. And pardon me, sorry?
King and Kalali.
King and Kalali. and stick more to the street, but this is immediately abutting it. So it's not arbitrary, it's just, that's the way the consultant, and we have 3 areas that are like that, where it's been studied, it's been reviewed and approved by council.
Counselor, fine. Counselor Bruno?
Thank you, Worship. I remember that study in 2023 because I had advocated for the property now known as Erie Tracker for that extension. And I thought the process that we went through was well-founded. I thought the consultant did a good job, and there's always going to be a boundary. My concern is, and perhaps I can, through you, or if it's to the planner, many of our residential buildings, I'm thinking of Main Street and that, have a ground floor commercial component. And I can't remember if this one does. Does anyone know?
Staff?
Sorry, put you on the spot.
Yeah, through the mayor, I don't have enough history on that to really give you.
Plus the applicants here.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so I guess I'm concerned that I really felt that the purpose of CIPs was to elevate and fill in areas of need. Otherwise, because you could say the whole city could be a CIP if you were after residential. So what is if I could ask to the public, what is the difference of someone wanting to put an apartment building at this location and ask for a CIP provisions and benefits versus if they want to put an apartment building 500 meters away on Elm Street between Kalali and Main Street, or in Mapleview, which isn't a CIP. So they're promoting residential development or apartments, which is admirable. But it seems to me that unless there's a particular reason you would extend a boundary for an apartment building that for all intents and purposes is the same as one outside a CIP. It's vacant land. There's not really much commercial around there. If somebody could answer that question.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Bruno, our 3 CIP areas are geographically defined, and they're geographically defined because those are areas we want to incentivize and grow both our residential or commercial. It depends on the area, but in this instance, this would be a residential one. So we want to encourage residential within the downtown CIP area for a lot of different reasons. This property is immediately adjacent to it, so it does support all the principles of the CIP and why we have them. So the reason that the provision was put in place that a property immediately adjacent to the CIP could be added because it recognizes those principles. But the idea is there has to be a boundary somewhere. So that's where the boundary was decided on. But we wanted to give access to other properties if they were to be used for the intention of the CIP. And in this case, it is. They would like to develop a residential intensification within our general downtown area. And that's a benefit to, and meets the criteria and the desire of what our CIPs are.
Counselor?
Thank you. I mean, I'm just concerned that these tax increment financing growth and CIPs raise the paper value of the property because they have access to funding. And I guess there's no real way of delineating whether a property is going to start the developer or not, unless these things can have a time constraint put on them. And I guess I need to ask that question if that's possible.
Through you, Mayor, to Councillor Bruno, all of our CIP take contracts do have time elements within them. We had that discussion a few meetings ago, and we actually lowered it to make it tighter from the time that they start to the time that they finish. Also, I would note that these CIPs do not automatically transfer. So say a property was to sell, they don't automatically transfer with the property. Any purchaser would have to come and get permission from the city for that contract to transfer to them. So we would have the chance to review, we'd have the opportunity to put new conditions on it. It's just not an automatic. So when you say it could raise the paper value, I don't necessarily see it that way. I see it as it's a way for us to actually work with the developer to move forward. So we have control if someone was to come in and buy the property, because we can then force the issue, I guess would be a better term, and they would have to ask our permission for it to transfer with it.
Great, that's all I have.
Thank you. Further questions? Yeah, Counselor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. When you mentioned it comes back to us, does that mean it comes back to council, or is it delegation of power for transferring a CIP to a new owner of property?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to council. So the request would come to staff. Staff would then bring that forward through. If it doesn't fall under delegated authority, and I don't know if it does or not. If it does not, we would certainly bring it to council. But because some of the numbers are so large, and it is a tax assessment issue, my preference would be that we would have a discussion with council about it. The reason that I'll just add, the reason that all of our tax increment grants come to council in the first place is because it's a deal on the tax assessment. So that's a requirement of the program, is that we bring those programs forward to council for review.
Okay, good answer. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Good, yeah, and it's not under delegated authority. That automatically comes back. Okay, further questions? Okay, if I could have Councilors Bruno and Danch move that Planning and Development Department Report 2026-16 be received. The Council direct Planning and Development Department staff to bring forward a recommendation report to the next available meeting. Questions on the motion? All in favor? That's carried. Thanks, Brian. So the public meeting for 395 Elm Street is officially closed. If anybody has any other comments, please forward them to cityclerk@portcolborne.ca. Okay, item 9.1 is Heritage Week, February 16th to 22nd, 2026. If I could have Councilors Hoyle and Elliott move. Now therefore, I, Mayor William Steele, do hereby proclaim February the 16th to the 22nd as Heritage Week in Port Colborne. Questions or comments? All in favor? That's carried. On to the Mayor's report. At the Valley Health and Wellness Center this weekend, 4 new members were inducted into Port Colborne's Sports Wall of Fame. First up was the 1983 Port Colborne High School Blue Bears, and they were the Ontario basketball champions, which they won up in Timmins, and then ended up staying 2 extra days because of a big snowstorm. We had 3 teams, with the majority of those players all playing on all 3 teams, with other players coming in and out. But the 1967, the 1970, and 1971 Ontario Baseball Association champions, and they won in the Bantam for the first year, Midget in the second, and Junior A in the third year in 1971. My understanding through what the guys were saying that played in those teams, that's the only Junior A team ever to come out of Port Colborne. So it was pretty cool. Under builders, Jack Stover, former I don't know if you could say owner in those days, because it was a whole group of guys that owned the team, but Jack was instrumental in getting our Junior C, and then they turned it into a Junior B team. Jack was instrumental in a lot of minor sports, especially minor hockey in Port Colborne, and minor girls baseball. And Jack came down from, I think he's living in, I want to say Lindsay. I think he's up in Lindsay now. But he and his family were there. It was good to see everybody. And our last inductee was Ray Profit, and he was under the builder and referees. Ray was a longtime referee in Port Colborne and across Ontario, refereed up in the junior ranks, but he also helped build our Referees Association in Port Colborne from the 1970s all the way up until his retirement in the 90s. So and it was good to see Ray's whole family there. We had over 200 people in the gym. We moved it from the Golden Puck Room to the gym this year, standing room only. It was phenomenal. It was really well attended and really well done. And in 2018, the Sports Wall of Fame found its new home at the Valley Health and Wellness Center, replacing the original Wall of Fame established in 1991 at the West Side Arena. The decision of new inductees was made by the Sports Wall of Fame Committee, and those members are myself, Greg Jouep, Manager of Recreation at the City of Port Colborne, and Tom Lannon. And if you did miss the ceremony and you want to watch it, we ask that you catch it full live stream on our YouTube channel. Day 3 of Sports Fest wrapped up with a bang as Team Port Colborne captured victories in the Mayor's Cup tournament, winning both the A and D divisions in thrilling shootout finishes. And also congratulations go out to the Beamsville Fire Department and the City of Welland for winning the C and B divisions. For those, we are wearing Coach Hoyle and myself, along with Coach Lannon. We have our champion shirts on, as well as players, Councillor Beauregard and Gary Long from our staff. Really well done. We had 2 really good teams. You couldn't have asked for any better games to coach. Both games, our teams were down. Our A division was down 2-1 until we tied it, and then won 2-1 in a shootout. And then our D division team was down 3-1, came back and tied it late in the third period, and then we won 2 goals to none in the shootout. So a lot of fun, guys, and the D team had a girl that played net, and I'll tell you, she was probably the best goalie in the tournament. She was phenomenal. Not to take anything away from Ben, but she was phenomenal. Yeah, and she's played pretty high level hockey. So we thank all our staff for coming out for those tournaments, and really for everybody coming out and supporting Sports Fest over the weekend. It was good to see lots of old friends at the rink, no matter whether watching hockey or our induction ceremony. But being around town, music, trivia at Canal Side. I know they had trivia over at the Humberstone with Port Cares. We had the snow pitch tournament. There was a euchre tournament going on. A number of events all across the city. And if you went out to any restaurant or bar on the weekend, they were all very, very busy with not only just people in town, especially those that were in the tournaments across the city, but a lot of people coming back to town specifically for our Wall of Fame. So we thank everybody for being a part of the weekend. And just over 1 year in his role, Fire Chief Stan Double is leading Port Colborne Fire and Emergency Services through a period of growth and progress, all focused on keeping our community safe. From hiring new full-time firefighters and welcoming volunteer recruits to expanding fire prevention efforts and enhancing specialized training. The department continues to invest in people, preparedness, and protection. With a new fire prevention inspector, training officer, and ongoing community safety initiatives, more boots are on the ground and more resources are in place than ever. Thank you, Chief, for your continued commitment to Port Colborne and keeping us all safe. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And talking about safety, it's an important reminder about rail safety. I don't know if councillors have noticed, the trains are moving. It's what they call grain movement season. They're moving grain from the old Robin Hood Mill, which is now a grain terminal from London Agriculture, down to ADM Milling. So we ask everybody to keep an eye out, specifically in the neighborhoods where we don't have controlled crossings with the arms and the bells and whistles and lights. We ask everybody that railway safety extends to the public, especially at grade crossings and near railway property. Some key safety tips: stay off the tracks. We ask you not to walk, drive, or ride on the tracks except at designated crossings. Please obey our signals, follow crossing gates, lights, and warning signs. Stop, look, and listen. Always look both ways and listen for approaching trains. And special precautions for vehicles, particularly snowmobiles this time of year, ATVs, and bicycles. All should be following rail safety guidance at all our railway crossings and along all railways. February is Black History Month, when people from across the country participate in events and activities that honor the legacy of Black people in Canada and their communities. The theme for 2026 is 30 Years of Black History Month, honoring Black brilliance across generations, from nation builders to tomorrow's visionaries. It recognizes the enduring legacy of Black Canadians whose leadership, creativity, innovation, and resilience have shaped our past, continue to influence our present, and will inspire future generations. Throughout February, everyone is invited to learn more about and celebrate the diversity and accomplishments of Black Canadians across Canada. Black History Month is also a time to reflect on Canada's painful history and the systemic barriers that Black communities continue to face, including anti-Black racism and discrimination, and to reaffirm a shared responsibility to address them. And if you want to read more, please go to our City of Port Colborne website. Frigid temperatures are expected to continue off and on all this week, with wind chills between -15 and -20. Residents are welcome to warm up during normal operating hours at the Valley Health and Wellness Center and the Port Colborne Public Library. Our customer service staff have this information and will advise when residents call. Niagara Transit continues to provide free rides to designated public facilities during extreme weather events. Log on to the Niagara Region's social media accounts or website for updated information about the 2025-2026 cold weather response plan. Please bundle up, limit time outdoors if possible, and check on vulnerable neighbors. I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to all the residents for looking out for one another during this continual cold snap and periods of heavy snowfall. As I've driven through the city over the last few weeks, I see so many examples of what makes our city exceptional, from helping shovel sidewalks and driveways to checking in on seniors and neighbors who may need a hand. Your kindness, patience, and community spirit truly shine through in challenging weather like this. It's moments like these that remind us how strong our community is when we come together. Thank you for your compassion, cooperation, and care for one another. Please stay safe and stay warm. I had the pleasure of being invited to the Early On Child and Family Center to help celebrate Family Literacy Day by reading a story to local families and little learners. Family Literacy Day, celebrated on January the 27th, encourages families to spend at least 15 minutes a day enjoying a learning activity together, helping to build strong literacy skills while creating meaningful moments. And we thank our Early On staff and the families who joined us for a fun, story-filled visit. And this weekend is Family Day. Most city facilities will be closed on Monday, February 16th to observe Family Day. The Valley Health and Wellness Center will be open regular hours. Arena permit holders from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. Public walking track 6:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. City facilities will reopen Tuesday, February 17th at 8:30 a.m. And there's lots of family-friendly fun happening in Port Colborne throughout the weekend, including the 2026 Winter Olympics viewing and children's activities at the Port Colborne Public Library, storytime board games with Flag Niagara and drop-in crafts, free family swim at the YMCA, and free skates at the Valley Health and Wellness Center, sponsored by Valley Base Metals. And you can also visit our online events calendar at the City of Port Colborne for more information and schedule of events. Last night at the Healthcare Advisory Committee meeting, we had a presentation by KPMG on some of the preliminary results from their data collection and recent engagement activities on healthcare. KPMG will be submitting their final report to the committee in the next few weeks, and it's expected to come to City Council in late March. On a high level, it was very interesting to see how granular some of the data is, especially when it comes to usage rates at the UCC. Where in Niagara, people are driving them from Access Healthcare in our city, and why. Out of 17,000 visits to our UCC last year, 45% were from our own residents. That's 9,000 times people needed access to local and timely health care. We're committed to finding a solution, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the next few months brings. The Royal Canadian Legion Branch 56 is holding their annual public speaking contest, which will be held upstairs at the Branch 56 Legion on the 17th and 19th of February, starting at 6 p.m. The annual public speaking contest at the Branch 56 Legion is a time-honored tradition offering youth from Port Colborne and Wainfleet enriching experiences and valuable opportunities for more than 50 years. And council, your attendance will be greatly appreciated one of those nights. Come on out and support these guys. I did this way back in the early 70s when I was in school. I reached the I think back then it was like grades 1 to 6. I was in grade 6 at the time, and I went to the Legion and spoke. So come on out and support, and we asked the public to come out and support. So that ends my report. Also, Regional Councillor Badaway is unavailable this evening, so he's not here. So if there's any questions with regards to the report or any regional issues, I'll take those. Anything? Perfect. Okay. So under item 14, Councillor Bagu has lifted item 14D and Councillor Bodnar has lifted item 20.3, which is bylaw 7429/13/26. 14D will be considered under item 15. Items requiring separate discussion, and item 20.3 will be discussed under the bylaw section. Would anybody like to lift any other items? Councillor Aquilina?
Can I lift the correspondence item?
14.4.
14.4A.
14.4A?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other items? Okay. Okay. So if I could have Councilors Beauregard and Aquilina move that council hereby approves the listed consent items on the February 10th, 2026 council agenda, and that the consent items be approved on the recommendations as contained therein. All in favor? That's carried. So under items requiring separate discussion, item 15.1, regional waste management or regional waste collection service levels 2026-13. If I could have Councilors Bodnar and Hoyle move that. The Public Works Department report 2026-13 be received, and the council direct the Director of Public Works to participate in the Niagara Region's 2029 waste collection contract for the baseline services identified within this report. And that council direct the Director of Public Works to include the following enhanced levels of service within the Niagara Region's 2029 waste collection contract: public space litter bin collection, green cart switch out program, fire lane 21 to 26 curbside collection, and the council direct the Director of Public Works to contact businesses utilizing the green cart switch out program for program feedback, and for staff to provide alternative methods to provide the service in the next 2029 regional waste collection contract report to be presented in Q4 of 2026. I'm going to go to questions, but I will tell you, council, this is about garbage, waste, not about recycling. So if you have recycling questions, you can ask those under your councilors' items, but this is about the garbage. Are there any questions on this specific item? Councilor Bodnar.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Steve, I guess this is your gig. So help me understand how this is going to roll out, and I'm particularly interested in the Pleasant Beach enclosure and the fire lanes that are affected. So this will come back to us. Before it comes back to us, will you have consultations with the people that are affected, or will it be after it comes back to us?
Mr. Shapowski.
Through you, your worship. So I know council understands some of the history on the Pleasant Beach waste enclosure, and it was originally brought forth due to excess garbage being stored near the roadsides. And then there was community involvement that decided to build a compound in that area to store the waste in. And one of the issues we've had is going to every other week garbage is the excess storage that's in there. The compound wasn't actually built to hold 2 weeks of garbage. And then usually during long weekends or the holidays throughout the summer, we end up seeing lots of excess construction materials, whether they're drywall, couches, beds, toilets. There's a number of items that are in there. So it does cost the city money above the region to dispose of the items that are left in there. But what we foresee happening is putting it forth within the region's tender to be able to figure out a way to provide some kind of curbside pickup. So it would be similar to every other resident within the city of Port Colborne. They would just need to use some kind of smaller piece of equipment, whether it's a pickup truck or a smaller garbage truck or a trailered system, they would have to use that piece of equipment to get down there because the fire lanes are much narrower than the other roads. And that was the original concern why they couldn't do it before, is because they couldn't back up the distance that, how deep the fire lanes actually are. And there was no spots to turn around. Also, the fire lanes aren't built like our standard roadways. There's not as much granular, there's not asphalt on there. So they are subject to depressions within the roadway, which could get them stuck along the path too. So what we're recommending is to go forward with obtaining the pricing on that service to be the same as all the other residents. And then we would present that to council for your approval, dependent upon the cost and if council chooses to do so. We weren't necessarily going to do public consultation out there, as we would be providing the same service as all the rest of the residents in that scenario.
So then there won't be a surcharge to those residents for the cost of the new way of doing it?
Through you, your worship. So that would depend on how council wants to implement this. If you did want to implement it on a per area basis, it could be a possibility. Or it could just be under the general waste management fee that we're going to see overall for the city of Port Colborne.
Okay, I think anybody that's been involved in that enclosure over the years knows it isn't the right setup. It was a solution, probably the only solution for the time, but it's not sustainable. So, okay, so it'll come back to us and in Q4, I guess it is, or whatever. And then we make a decision whether we're just going to absorb the cost of that or implement some kind of a surcharge.
Yes, through your worship, that is correct. At that time, we would be able to make those decisions. Again, there could be differences in pricing. It could be if the contractor already has their pieces of equipment that they can use, maybe a cheaper price. If they have to go out and source new equipment, it could be a more expensive price. So that's something we're just going to have to consider. We can't make that decision at this time, but that's a conversation for when we do have the tender pricing there, and we can present it to council and determine how that price could be paid.
So how long do we have, when we get that information back, when do we have to pull the trigger on that for the regional tender?
Through your worship, I believe they would need to know by the end of the year. And that's so they can award the contract, and then they're anticipating to give about a 2-year buffer for the contractor so that if extra equipment is needed, they can source that equipment. Similar to our circumstances as well, when we go to purchase vehicles, large equipment, we are seeing extensive wait times, up to 2 years to even obtain equipment. So we're feeling that they're going to be in a similar circumstance. So the region is timing this out very well.
So do you feel there's enough time when we get that information to make a decision and then involve the community out there to, so that they know what's going on?
Through you, your worship, what we could do is we could issue a letter to that general area for the residents and just notify them of what's happening and the decisions that are being made. And maybe we want to have them attend the council meeting to have be a part of the discussions.
So remind me again, what time of year is that going to be?
Q4 of 2026.
Sure. So, yeah, because it's seasonal, a lot of the people out there, so wouldn't be fair to bring it, say, late fall or something, and then nobody's there really, or they got to come from wherever they live to come here. So I was just looking at a timing thing. So as long as we can relay the information and they have time to respond or put their input in, then I'm okay.
So Steve, can we, as opposed to adding an amendment to this, just take this as direction where you can work with the 2 ward councilors for that neighborhood, specific neighborhood, at least with that, because it is a large component of seasonal residents, along with the permanent ones that live out there. So if you could deal with the 2 ward councilors, I think that, and get it done between June and September, probably somewhere in there where you guys want to go.
Yes, for sure. What I'm thinking is we'll issue a letter and then we'll take comments in during the summer period. So we'll have all those comments with us before we even receive the tender pricing from the region.
Yeah,
can I suggest, well, we can talk about it, but maybe even an open house to, when people are there, we could talk to them and have as many in one spot as a time. Okay.
Is that fine with that? Counselor Aquilini, you're fine with that one? Okay. Counselor Begg?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just about the green card switch-out collection. If I'm getting this right, there's 525 properties eligible for it and 18 use it. So basically, the garbage company comes, picks up their garbage, and leaves them a nice clean bin. Is that my understanding?
Mr. Szpowski?
Yes, through you, your worship, that is correct. As the company, so there's about 44 bins that are eligible right now out of 18 companies, or 18 properties. So some properties do have multiple bins that they use. What happens is the garbage truck comes in, they take away the bin and dump the organics and leave a fresh new bin for them that's been washed already. And that's essentially what the program is and what those costs are associated with.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. So the cost for 2026 is going to be $49,300. Am I correct?
Through you, your worship. So that was the 2025 pricing, not necessarily 2026. Prices could be cheaper if we end up getting a different contractor in there, or they could be more expensive. But we're raising it at this time because it is a large expense that has escalated over time.
Counselor?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. Basically, I don't understand this. What kind of properties need us? This is the taxpayers paying for this cost, not the region, right? So
Correct.
I'm paying for somebody to get a brand new green bin every garbage day, and it's all washed out nice.
It's not, they're not brand new bins every time, Counselor.
Nice
They're
wash.
Clean used ones
clean
is what they
bins.
are. But that's what it is. It's a clean used one.
Okay, thank you. I just wish this could come back before the fall of 2026, quarter 4, because I really think this is ridiculous. And I think it's a waste of the taxpayers' money, close to $50,000, so somebody can't wash their own green bin. And,
CAO?
Yeah, through the mayor to the councilor, and the director of public works can step in, but to council, I'm going to thank the director of public works and his team for doing the deep dive on the previous contract that the director inherited to identify this and put it forward, so that way this council can make the decision going forward. It is a contractual obligation right now, but this is something that, and this is why the directors brought it forward for consideration. So right now, I think the director is saying, let's get the pricing because we've provided that service. The final decision will be made by council moving forward, and he's going to do consultation to learn more about the program himself with the businesses that use it and come back with that information to council as well.
so it says it comes back in quarter 4, 2026. So would that be the new council or the existing council?
Mr. Szpowski?
Through you, your worship. So we are going to come back in Q4 26 because we'll have the plan by that point. What we may be able to do is come back a little bit sooner after we at least have some public consultation with the businesses. What we really want to understand is what the need is. Do they actually need this service? Or are they willing to pay for it? This would be a great user pay system, as we were just talking about. There are businesses that are using them, and there's a cost to it. So we could still continue to provide the service, but it could be funded by the people that actually use the service. So those are the options that we're looking at right now, either discontinuing or having the businesses pay for the service, and that's what we would talk to those businesses about to see what their preference is.
Counselor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much, Steve, to catch this, and I look forward to voting on it when it comes to vote. Thank you.
Thanks, Counselor. Counselor Bodnar? Oh, sorry, Counselor Hoyle hasn't got it. Counselor Hoyle?
To the mayor, through Steve, I'm looking at the public spaces, and I know since I've been in, I've contacted city to do the garbages on our parks and that. They come 3 times for most, it says on here, but how many times do we direct staff to clean out the same garbages? Because really, if we're gonna end up doing it, maybe we should just look at doing it ourselves.
Steve?
Through you, your worship. So we've noted that too, especially areas like HH Knoll, areas where these garbage or PSR bins have been installed along the roadside or along parking lots. One of the biggest issues are people pulling up and putting all of their garbage directly inside of it. Our manager of operations and myself have talked about re-looking at this and mapping out where they could be rather than where they are today. There may be more strategic areas that are still accessible, but put off a little bit so that you're not bringing a garbage bag and putting out the window right beside there. So what we're doing is looking at that. The expense to pick them up is great, and it gives an opportunity for the community to recycle at the same time too. So we definitely want to push that as well.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Bob.
Thank you. Just so I'm clear on those green bins, it says organic cart. They're not the household green bins. Are they the big guys with the wheels on them or not? No?
Steve?
Yes, they're the green bins.
Just like we would use at our house?
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Councillor Bruno.
Through you to Mr. Shapowski. So if you're a business and cleaned out, are you saying that, are you sure these are the residential little pail that we have at our household? I wouldn't think so.
We have, let me double check. We have a gentleman from the region here, Mariano. He might be able to speak to the size of the tote that they use and bring out, if that's okay.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, Mariano Singson with Niagara Region's Waste Management Services, and through the mayor, I believe, I have strong reason to believe that these are the bigger totes that are mostly designed for commercial establishments to use organics, not the smaller green bin for residential.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Further questions? Seeing none, it's been duly moved and seconded. All those in favor? That's carried. Thanks, Mariano, for attending tonight.
My pleasure, Your Lordship.
Item 15.2, Raglan Street. For those that don't know Raglan Street, it actually exists, but there actually is no street there. It's just west of Bell and Welland Street, and it runs from basically Welland across, actually into the canal. If you look at the actual footprint of that road, it goes to the middle of the canal. So that goes back a lot of years. So if I could have Councillors Hoyle and Borger move that the Development and Government Relations Report 2026-27 be received, and that the stop up and close bylaw attached as Appendix C, being a bylaw to stop up and close a portion of Raglan Street, registered as a public highway and described as part of Raglan Street, also known as Bell Street, Plan 843 in the City of Port Colborne, Plan 59R-18513, Part 1, as shown in Appendix A, be brought forward, and that the property described above be declared surplus. That the mayor and city clerk be directed to sign all necessary documents. Questions? Councillor Baggio.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If we could put Appendix B up the map, I appreciate it so I can ask my question, I guess. Should have given me advance notice, sorry. So basically, my question is, the Raglan property, I'm quite sure the city owns some adjoining property to this. So I'd just like to know which one is the property where is the property that the city actually owns adjacent to the Raglan property, Raglan Road?
Mr. Ash.
Through the mayor and the councilor, if we put that up on the screen, would it be appropriate if I stood up and pointed?
That's fine.
That'll work? Okay.
There you go. Turn your mic on.
through the mayor to the councilor, the portion that we're speaking about with the stop up and close is this area in here. So the stop up and close impacts the entirety of the road allowance, but there's two separate things at play here because we're doing a stop up and close on that road allowance. But in a subsequent report at the next council meeting, you'll see a report that's looking to divest that property, to sell that property. The portion that's being sold is not the entirety of what is being stopped up and closed. So this piece right here is owned by Canal Breeze. The piece to the north is owned by Canal Breeze, which is Rankin. But the portion of the rail line that curves through is owned by the city. So we won't be selling the portion of the road allowance that impacts the city portion. It'll just be the strip that is connected with the Canal Breeze property. So that'll make more sense when you see a subsequent report that talks about the piece that's going to be divested. But for the purpose of the stop up and close, it impacts the entirety of the road allowance. And I don't know if that helps or if that clarifies anything or not. Councillor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It does. I thank you, Eric. Next question, if and when we do sell this property, you mentioned to Rankin, can we not sell it to anybody else or just adjoining property owners we can sell this property to? What's the rule on this?
Through the mayor to the councillor, the ruling is that it goes and can be split between adjoining property owners, but in this case, the adjoining property owner is, well, it's Seaway if we're talking about the portion in the water. The city which owns the rail, which the portion is that we're keeping that piece, if that's what is decided by council, and then the portion that would be surplus to city needs would be proposed to be sold to Rankin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just brought up for transparency for our residents and thank you.
Good. Any further questions? All those in favor? That's carried. Item 15.3 is the City of Welland Winter Cold Weather Response Plan Review. If I could have Councilors Ackling and Bodner. And the motion I'm reading out is based on the ask from Councilors Ackling and Bodner to bring this forward. So the clerks worked on this today. That the correspondence from the City of Welland regarding winter cold weather response plan review be supported by council, and that the correspondence be referred back to staff to monitor for the Niagara Region Council's response, and that any updates or developments be brought back to council. Questions, Councillor Aquilina? Anything to add?
No, thank you. I just think it's a good motion, and because it's already going to the region, it would just be good to get a follow-up from staff.
Great, thank you. Any further questions, comments? All those in favor? That's carried. Okay, on to staff remarks. Madam Clerk, anything to add tonight?
No, nothing this evening.
Thank you. Chief.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I just want to thank you for your kind words in your report earlier. Thank council for their continued support. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the tremendous men and women of the fire department who help make things successful. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Chief. Mr. Shapowski.
Yes, through your worship. So yesterday the city started overnight snow removal operations within the downtown core. Started on King Street and West Street, and we'll be continuing throughout the remainder of the week to ensure that sight lines are clear and that we also have storage for future snow events.
Great, thank you. Mr. Hatch.
Thank you through the mayor. Happy to report we had a great turnout at our official plan open houses last week. Thank you to the mayor, thank you to the councillors who attended and spoke with residents. We've got, following up from that, a number of meetings with citizens and with some community groups, and we'll be back with an update report on the project to council in the next few cycles, and continuing with public engagement through the winter and into the spring. So,
great, thank you, Eric. CAO.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple updates. One is, I think you did a great job commenting on all the great people that are doing sidewalk cleaning during this winter storm period, and you've done that multiple times to people recently. But I just wanted to note and make council aware, we do have a couple individuals across the community, unfortunately, that haven't quite cleared their sidewalks or paths. I think we had 77 investigations over the last week or so. Right now, we have a number that have passed that time period to which we have ongoing dialogue with bylaw going out. So there will be, as of today, a number of orders started to go out, so where we'd actually have contractors go out and clean up some of those areas. So I guess just for anybody that may have received one of those orders, just respectfully, if you could clean that up, that would probably be helpful. Alternatively, we do have somebody that will help clean that up in the next little bit. It's not the easiest conversation to have or to put forward, but it is a process, and bylaws only following the bylaw that we set as a council in a city to keep our sidewalks clean. The other thing that I would just like to maybe comment on is recently in the news there was the comment about the Nickel Beach fine. That fine was for $1 with an $80,000 payment to the MPCA for the Fowler Toad. Really to support the Fowler Toad on a go-forward basis. That fine, I think, as many people can remember, there was quite a few council meetings back in 2022 in that time period when this occurred. There was the opportunity to put in new washrooms. I think many people would remember there used to be swing sets down at Nickel Beach. The swing sets were removed and gravel was put there. That's where the fine actually originates from. Staff worked with the MPCA, and I think there was a lot of controversy because on the other side of that roadway that's going into Nickel Beach, we were able to cut down some trees, put the gravel down, and then put the washrooms there. That became appropriate. The other side wasn't. I think we had quite a bit of discussion at council about the fact that that lawn was cut for many years. There was a playground, etc. There. I can't talk. I know the public, and I think people would like to know how we arrived at finalizing this. There were conversations in camera, and I can't go into them in detail, but I think at best to say to the community, ultimately there was a business decision that was made to resolve this, I think, interpretation between the MECP and the city, and it was viewed that it was the, I think, more economical or expedient mechanism to move forward. It's not the outcome that I think anybody would prefer to have. Ultimately, I think many people are looking forward to getting back to a really great beach season. Obviously, it's hard to talk about a great beach season right now because we have a lot of snow, and we even had to postpone our polar plunge because of that snow. But looking forward to a better beach year this year, and just thanks everybody for moving this project forward. And I think we've heard a lot of great comments to what the beach is looking like these days, and just thanks for the staff for the work that they're doing down there.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Mr. Long, anything to report tonight?
Is it staff comments?
Staff
I
comments.
stepped out of the room there.
I know.
Apologize.
We were waiting for you. We didn't bypass you.
Oh. Maybe just a quick player's perspective from this past weekend's Mayor's Cup and Sports Fest. First off, I just wanted to thank our coaches and the volunteers that were part of this past weekend. I also wanted to echo the mayor's comments and thank all the recreation staff for all of their behind-the-scenes work to prepare for Sports Fest, and who were there all weekend, to make sure that it ran smoothly. So, in speaking with some of the players from other teams who were in the city to play hockey, they look forward to this tournament. It's well organized, it's well run, it's competitive. Some players, some municipalities have been coming to the Mayor's Cup for many years, and it's something they look forward to. So I think we can certainly pat ourselves on the back. I think the Sports Fest and the Mayor's Cup has become, in its own way, a signature event during the winter time. So I think we can feel good about that. I think from the team's perspective, I think all of us in the room have have been part of teams, sports teams, teams at work. And, you know, when you have a shared goal, you're brought together for a common purpose. Nothing beats, you know, getting a winning result. So for the A team, the city's A team, and the city's D team, to have a winning outcome on Sunday was pretty special. And all the players were really, really happy, to say the least. But I think, you know, successful teams, whether they be work teams or sports teams, you know, that success is not a fluke. And what I will say is that the city players, the city team, have been playing together and practicing sometimes once, twice a week since last September. So, you know, we sort of gelled together as a team. We had our lines made up already way in advance. So I think that hard work, you know, and that dedication from the city team really paid off. And I should be clear that the city employees, we pay for our own ice. We pay for that time out of our own pocket once or twice a week. And, you know, I think everybody enjoys it. It's great exercise. And as I've said before, you know, one of the highlights for me is an opportunity to get to spend time with my city colleagues, not just here at City Hall, but I'm playing hockey with firefighters. I'm playing hockey with public works employees, playing hockey with some of our recreation staff, who I normally wouldn't get to interact with on a daily basis. So it's a pleasure and really proud to be part of that team. And it was a fun weekend. Thanks,
Great.
everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Long. Well said. On to Councillor's remarks. Councillor Bodnar, we're starting with you this week.
Yes, no, can I respond to or ask a question?
Certainly.
On a couple of things? Okay, so I totally believe what Gary's saying, because I seen a picture of Mr. Long with the trophy, and I didn't see anybody happier ever. And it was fabulous. And thanks, Gary, for playing on that team. And just to Mr. Bowles' comment on snow removal, in regards to people that didn't do it, or maybe in some cases couldn't afford to do it. So do we have any organizations in the city or anything that would help somebody out that really doesn't have the wherewithal to do their sidewalk? I'll give you an example. I know of a lady, her husband passed a couple of years ago. Not a lot of disposable income. Doesn't have family that can do it. Happens to live on a corner lot. So the corner lot has quite a bit of sidewalk. She manages to get it done, but not easily. So I'm just throwing it out there. I don't have a solution. I don't know, but I don't even know whether Port Cares gets involved in anything like that. But just asking the question. Don't know.
Thanks, Councillor. I mean, in the past, and you were one of them, the mayor's office has been called from time to time. And through my office, your office in the day, Mayor Badaway, Mayor Maloney, we've worked our hardest to get a community group to help, and we have in the past. We've actually in the past had people call City Hall at the beginning of winter and volunteer that if this does come up. So we continue to do that. So if somebody does call, we will try our hardest to get somebody out there. What we're really hoping, as I said, what I saw one guy with a snowblower, and I went by him a couple times in an afternoon. He did a whole block and a half for people with his snowblower. So that's what we would hope neighbors would do for neighbors, especially seniors and those that aren't able to get out and shovel their walks, is to give them a hand, whether they've got a snowblower, get a bunch of people together with shovels or whatever it takes. So, but we will continue to do that. So if people need anything, they can call. They can get a hold of their counselor, get a hold of our staff here, and we'll make sure we can do our darndest to get help for anybody that needs it.
Thank you.
Great.
And as far as I'm concerned, staff took care of all my problems, and I'm good.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Hoyle.
First off, thanks staff for taking care of all my calls and my texts and my emails and everything else I do. So I won't have to say much at councils. Thank you. I had a great time this weekend, Sports Fest. Thanks for staff for putting all the behind the scenes work. I had a great time even though I was holding up the wall on the bench. And thanks for all the participants. And I look forward to hopefully getting back next year.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Danch.
All right, well, this is my week to speak about a few situations we have. We had our Main Street BIA meeting, and a couple of the items that came up in the room. One was accounting fees. Our budget for the Main Street BIA is about $10,000 a year. That's paid for by the property owners. Our accounting fees are about 50% of that, and we're just wondering how we can get out of this situation, and hopefully Mr. Bowles is going to give me some direction on which way we can go on this one.
CAO?
Yeah, through the mayor to the councillor, it's an interesting one because I think you gave me the accounting question in advance. You kind of gave me a heads up for that, so I was able to go and talk to the clerk to see what the rules are. And we have a bylaw we found out that says that the BIAs have to use the city auditors. So at this point in time, my recommendation is maybe the treasurer of the BIA and we could have the auditor have a conversation about where that fee is and see what can be done to bring that fee down. I share your same concern. Auditor background originally myself before went into other areas. And I know there is a set amount that they do need to recover, because when you go and set up a file from one file to the next, there's certain basic work. But the fact to hear that it's gotten up to 50% of your levy, that's a big component. So I think we need to get our auditor and maybe your treasurer to sit down and have a conversation about what can be done to bring that.
Thanks for that. I'll mention that to her tonight when I go to bed.
Not a conflict there, is there?
Small one. Another item that came up was the proposed daycare coming up at the old Humberston Hall. That parking area was kind of put into place to make up for some of the loss of parking on Main Street. And we do have that great parking lot across the street there by Molina's and the mortgage brokers, but they're worried about the extra traffic and whatnot going in and out of there, and hoping that this problem won't become a problem, because this will be totally new to Main Street, and I've lived my life on Main Street, and majority of people can't drive anyways, so hopefully this won't be a problem.
Yeah, through the mayor, and maybe our director of public works can step in, but I'm just thinking about the question, and we used to have the visitor center there, and we'd have people parking there with the visitor center, and I think Main Street was able to work. And I'm thinking about how the childcare will operate. You're going to have people dropping people off first thing, maybe walk the kid in, and then they're going to be leaving. And you're going to have the same thing at the end of the day, picking up a child and leaving. Based on my understanding of how the operation is going to work, you're not going to have the majority of that parking lot being used most of the time. So I guess I would put forward, and now I know Public Works was doing the design of the building. I don't know if Steve, Director of Public Works, if you have anything to add to that, but when I'm thinking about this, I don't see the parking lot actually being used more. It's more a drop off for children before and after work.
Mr. Shapowski.
Yes, through your worship. So we do know that there's another parking lot on the west side of the Weir too. Sometimes whenever we're walking by there, so I drive by multiple times a day, we know there's capacity in that parking lot too, although it's on the other block on the other side of the Weir. So there is some spots there that will be still available. Something that we're definitely gonna have to monitor though, and if there is a need for future use, very similar to near the subway area where there's parking for one line of cars. Maybe, as Mr. Bowles was talking about, there could be a dedicated spot for municipal parking for at least a line of cars down at that daycare. The other part I'll mention is the fire chief, myself, the Region Transportation Division, and the Seaway have all been talking about bridge operations and how they function. So although the bridges are still going to go up, they're still going to, traffic will be redirected to go to other bridges. We're working on the timing of the lights on the east side and west side of the canal to sync them up so that we can move traffic a little better out of that Main Street, Mellenby, and on Clarence Street too. So that'll also aid the situation.
I want to say good luck to that one, because I've been on that street longer than you're old, and those lights have never worked, and the bridges have never coordinated with each other, and it's always what we would want to call a cluster something, right? But hopefully that does work out for you. My third point, sidewalk snow clearing on the street and Lockgate Park. With the several vacant buildings on Main Street, anybody that wants to try and walk down the street, in some areas it's almost impossible. I'm adamant in front of my own business to keep things clean and make it easier for people to walk along. I just wondered if possibly we could get that cute little machine to run down the sidewalk on Main Street on both sides and maybe through Lockgate Park to kind of help things along a little bit.
Through your worship. So we don't have the sidewalks down the Main Street core on our list to run back and forth on. It is up to the business owners to be able to do that, but working with bylaw, we would be able to push forward, as Mr. Bowles was saying earlier, to talk to the homeowners and just get them to start clearing. We have noticed as we're on the roads too, there are a number of private property owners that still need to clear the sidewalks because there is a significant accumulation of snow in their frontages. But we do stick to the city facility owned project, sidewalks that we have. And then through on Mellenby, we actually do one piece of a trail system. There are certain trails that we do, and it does a connection basically along Mellenby. So from Lockgate Park to get to Clowley Street, because there's no other sidewalks along that section of road. So we do select ones just to tie in gaps for active transportation, but that's usually where we limit it. There's always the option to add more trails in the future. But I would recommend that if we wanted to add more trails to the system, that we get staff to bring a report back just to show what the impact's going to be. It's just, there will be liabilities that are with it too. We do have to respond in certain times when we do that, and that's basically the primary concern. Is once we obligate to those, we're obligated to the timelines too, through the minimum maintenance standard that we want to.
It seems a bit of a shame though when a piece of equipment goes down the street doing nothing to go to an area to do something, then returns and goes by that same area to do nothing. I mean, it's kind of like, why wouldn't you do it while you were there? I can understand the liability side of things, but there's also the liability of people walking down the street with these vacant properties and whatnot. But hopefully we can come to a little bit of a help us out down the road there. Kind of know the answer to this one, but I've been asked to bring it up anyways. We've got some commercial buildings that now have residentials on the main level. I believe we did pass a bylaw that allows for on street level residential units. I think that got put through last year or something.
You want to do that or the planner?
I can jump in and the planner can jump in with me. So through the mayor to the councillor, there was a bylaw that was put in there to be able to put apartments or to be able to have residential in those areas, but I know that, and I appreciate just before council, you gave us we were chatting about just before council, we are going to have staff review that bylaw in greater detail to see if there's anything, the council might want to investigate going forward. But as of right now, it's our understanding that they are fine to be able to be residing in that area.
Fine. I mean, if you could look into that, I'd appreciate that one. Okay. And then I got a positive and a negative here with the NRT. This was put on the city's site or whatever. It says, this past Tuesday evening, Carrie was dropping my mom, who is in a mobilized wheelchair, off back at home. The driver was snowed in, making it very difficult for mom to make it back from the road to her front door, and I was suffering from a pinched nerve in my lower back. Carrie, without hesitation, grabbed a shovel and started clearing a path for my mom to get back into her home. He did all this with a smile and a warm good night, refusing to take a small token of appreciation. This puts us at ease. This put an ease on all the anxiety my mom with very limited mobility had. Kerry could have easily dropped her off, his passenger, at the end of the driveway and been on his way with no further obligation. So I guess pat on the back for the NRT. I've got another individual, lives on Wildwood Road, and he's got nothing good to say. And he always calls me and probably doesn't call any of yous. And he is in a wheelchair and he's having problems getting scheduling done and waiting for hours. And I don't know if we can, the NRT phone number that the city was good enough to give me, they're both the same numbers. It's at 866 and put you on hold. I know there's been some questions with the NRT and the service that it gives to some of the people. This particular individual is in a mobile chair and they send the wrong van to his home, or he waits for hours, to get picked up again. I just wonder if we could maybe shake the bushes with those guys a little bit and see if we can get a little better service out of them.
Through the mayor to the councillor, and maybe speaking, the mayor and myself have had conversations. We've met with Niagara Regional Transit recently, just before the holidays. We went over a number of issues because we've heard not just the case that you give, but we've also had other commentary we received through the healthcare committee, and to be able to get individuals to and from appointments in different situations. So this is something that's coming more and more, and that even the healthcare committee is bringing it up. So I think that this is going to be required continued dialogue with the Niagara Regional Transit. So I think your comment is correct, and as staff will note it, and I'll work directly with Gary Long, Government Relations, and we'll try to set up another meeting and continue to have this dialogue, and we'll come back with some updates to where Niagara Regional Transit is on this topic and moving this forward. They have a multi-year plan. Some of it's budget dependent, we've been told. And Mayor, has the region approved their budget yet, or they're going to approve it someday, right?
Yeah, we have our budget meeting this Thursday.
Okay, that's my rant for this week. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Elliott.
My neighbor here brought up an issue that we have with the downtown BIA as well, with the auditor's pricing. So if you're going to talk about one, talk about both, because that was brought up at our last meeting, that it's the cost is escalating, and they just wonder if there's anything to do, because I do believe by law, like you said, that both BIAs have to use the city auditor. So it'd be nice to have a conversation around that. Going into the other conversation about residential on the ground floor, I hope, if it's allowable now, which shocks me, I hope we put a bylaw in that says it's not allowable. We had talked about creating a bylaw, I believe, that said if you're going to have residential on the ground floor, it would be in the rear of the building, so it wasn't be front facing out on the sidewalk. I don't think we really want that in our downtown core, so it'd be interesting to see what the answer is for wherever that is. Oh, yeah, well, I would hope that we don't let that get too far out of control, because I'd hate to see a lot of residential front-facing in stores and people sitting out on all kinds of furniture and things like that on the sidewalk. We don't need that in town. So maybe you could fill us in next meeting and see what we can do. That's it.
Thank you. Councillor Bruno.
Thank you. I wasn't planning to bring this up now, so I'll jump on the audit cost train. So Ron and I are on the Niagara Central Dorothy Runkling Airport Commission, and we're responsible for audit. Fortunately, we're not as in 50% of the budget, but it's gone from like $6,000 to $9,000 inside of about 3 or 4 years. I think the difficult thing about it too is, as the province asks to investigate, or whether it's asset management or all kinds of new rules that they make, you get passed down that. So for example, we budget on what we know our audit costs is. Sometimes it seldom ends up that, because the rules have changed. through government regulations in the audit. And so that then inflates it even more than we budgeted for, because we did have a fixed fee, which was helpful. The fixed fee hasn't always happened. So I'm not sure of the answer there, but if you're looking into it, I'll just ask, because I think the hard part is that because we're attached to a municipality, it's mandated. Others have said on the committee from other municipalities, yeah, but it's the city audit that needs to happen, and we're paying for it. Whether there's an ability to compromise there in some way, I don't know, but I'll just throw it in the pot with my two colleagues on the BIAs.
CAO?
Through the mayor, I guess I'm going to jump back in the pot. But I think something I think it's important for us all to note is, and I thank the deputy clerk for sending it to us. So I guess in the Municipal Act, section 207.2 requires you to use the BIAs to use the same auditor as the municipality. So I think for the two BIAs, we can arrange a meeting with the auditor, treasurers, our city treasurer can sit and we can have the conversation about the audit fee and we can deal with that. The airport is a little different because we're related, because we have the same company. True. But we actually have different auditors, because the airport's auditor is through a different city than Port Colborne. So yes. I just point that out because the cost of the audits across municipalities are increasing, and we do regular updates within finance to be able to see what's our competitiveness with our rates with others. So I just want council to know that despite the complexity I think we're having with the smaller dollars audits, which aren't smaller dollars to those organizations, the total package of audit fee is still very comparable and competitive to what other municipalities are having. So the finance department is still doing their work to make sure they get the right price. The complexity is there might be an issue with the distribution because, or something like that, which we have to get together, it sounds like, to talk to for the two BIAs.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Also, want to thank everybody involved with the Mayor's Cup and Sports Fest. I had an enjoyable time watching our team win some games. I wish I could have made it to the finals on Sunday, but grandsons had a tournament in Stony Creek, and so I was there on the Sunday. Just one question through you to Director of Public Works. Steve, I'm not sure if you've noticed it. I've noticed it for about a week and a half, and it looks like it's getting worse. When you cross over the Jackknife Bridge at Main Street, Highway 3, the rail track that's there, that metal insert between the two tracks, that is lifting, and it looks like it's considerably lifting, basically at about the center line. So cars can easily avoid it, but it looks like it's growing. So if we could have a look at that.
Through you, your worship. So we have contacted, there were some issues with the rail on the west side, which their mayor actually brought forward a little while ago. So the company's addressed those, and we have let the other company on the east side of the canal also know about the padding that's slightly raised up because there's a bit of a corner that's coming up out of the middle of it. So they are aware of it. It just might take a little bit of time for them to fix it, but we have let them know about it.
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Baggio.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I got a few things. Actually, one of them was about the healthcare report, and you went over that with your mayor's report that council will be getting something back soon. So you took care of my one question. I guess for Director of Public Works, the water line to AK, like down Prospect Drive, like how far are we to AK? Are we halfway there, or just over the hill on 5 miles, or what?
Through your worship, I actually just received an update on the project earlier today, so I can read that out for council. All the water main, wastewater, force mains, and gravity sewers along Prospect Drive, north and south, and the rail corridor have been constructed. Water main and wastewater, force main, and gravity sewers along 3rd concession between Progress Drive and to the railroad crossing have been constructed. The water main along third concession from the railroad to Snyder Road is currently in progress, which is that small little section before we tie on to the private area that they're coming along Snyder. The water main along Highway 140 between Chippewa Road and Second Concession is currently in progress. And the water main along Highway 140 between Second Concession and Progress Drive South is currently waiting some archaeological works before we continue construction for that small portion that's going to tie in Progress Drive.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. It just seems like the last 3 weeks, the jackhammer's been jackhammering in the same spot on between Second Concession and Chippewa Road. Is a dull rammers, or what's the problem?
Through you, your worship, very hard rock in that area. There's a good reason why there's a quarry across the road. And we do have to bring some infrastructure farther down the Highway 140 as well too. So a lot of that will hopefully be through boring. But at the same time, we know what we're up against for future projects, bringing that across. Sometimes in the city, you get rock that pulls apart very easily, and sometimes you get rock that's extremely hard throughout the city. So one of those areas where the rock's very hard.
Okay, to you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. By the way, CEO, you're up to 78 investigations for snow. I put one in today, a complaint. So on behalf of a resident, I have no problem putting complaints in for anybody, except for Gary. I guess one quick question for the CEO. You mentioned about the $80,000 donation to NPCA. It's my understanding that comes out of the reserves, not to the taxpayer directly.
Yeah, through the mayor to the councilor and council, that's correct. So that $80,000 was put away back with revenue that we received from parking at the beach. So I guess that's the answer to your question. Thanks for bringing that up. I had that in my notes and I forgot to mention it when I was talking earlier about it.
No problem, Mr. CEO. I guess the next question is for you also. The NHS just announced closing of the extended care in Wallen Hospital, the one connected, I guess, to Wallen Hospital. And it got me thinking that our hospital beds in Port Colborne, are they part of this contract deal where NHS has a contract to deal with so many beds for so much time and then they shut them down? Or is this something altogether with NHS?
So through the mayor to the councilor and council, so my understanding those were long-term care beds. Our healthcare advisory committee will be actually hearing a presentation about long-term care at the next meeting. There's a real need for long-term care beds in Port Colborne. Last I understood, we have about 250 individuals on the waiting list for long-term care beds. We have 150 beds in the city, so that need versus have is very high when you look at provincial averages, and that's what the healthcare committee is going to learn more about in the coming meetings. But what happened in Welland was more related to a type of bed that would be more about a complex care bed. It was a different type. So the old hospital will continue to have the beds that we have in, or I guess I'll rephrase, where the UCC is, Niagara Health operates more of a complex care type situation, and they'll continue to operate that until the end of, well, we don't want to say when, but right now it's in current time they're going to continue to operate those beds that are there.
I'm good, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Borgard.
Yeah, through you, just want to echo same comments as my colleagues and Gary Long. Just thank you for the Sports Fest and all the hard work that staff put into it. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed playing and getting to meet people that, like you said yourself, that you don't really get to socialize with through work, and so it was nice to see some new faces and play hockey and get that win for Port Colborne.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Aquilina.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to congratulate everybody for Sports Fest as well. And to Councillor Bodner's point, Gary, your picture kind of made my day, seeing that and how much joy you took in that. So congratulations, and congratulations to the inductees for the Sports Wall of Fame. Councillor Bagu was asked the question I was going to ask about the 80,000. I think there was misinterpretation circulating, and I just wanted to get that clarified, so I'm glad that came up. And then to Councillor Danch's question about transportation, this has come up with the Seniors Advisory Committee as well, that I think I've sent to Councillor Bogart and the mayor as well, some of the questions that were brought up. So I think it's a concern many residents within Port Colborne have, and it would be nice to have a direction at some point, but that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Okay, on to, are there any notices of motion? Seeing none, on to bylaws. Councillor Bodner has lifted item 20.3, being a bylaw to authorize entering into a contribution agreement with His Majesty the King and Right of Canada, as represented by the Minister of Infrastructure and Communities, for the Canada Housing Infrastructure Fund, and to repeal bylaw number 7414/105/25. So I'm going to go to Councillor Bodner for his comments on this one. Councillor Bodner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was just wondering whether the CAO might remind us and anybody that may be watching what this is about and how much money we got for it.
Yep. CAO.
Thanks, Mayor. So to the councillor and council, so back when, last year, we actually had a very successful year with grants. We got a program called HAF, a program called CHIF, and a program called HUSIF. To many, that won't mean much. That's just acronyms. In total, we got $35 million. What you have before you here, we're talking about a program that will generate almost $19.5 million in grants, and then we'll be matching that over a period of time for a number of projects. So one of the projects would be Wellington Clark area. So that area is going to, we're right now we're investigating storm, water, wastewater. I'll ask the Director of Public Works if I get that wrong, but we'll be investigating the infrastructure in that area. Sugarloaf is another area that we're looking at, and I think a big area with that is if the storm sewer can be updated and put in there, it can lead to some new housing developments potentially at the end of Sugarloaf, but also act as a natural drain for the whole city to drain down into and get it into the lake. So there's a lot of long-term potential benefits, and to be able to get 50-cent dollars is a big deal. And then the remaining will help us come across the canal, and council's seen that presentation where we're coming across the canal with our wastewater, and it's that building that secondary line, and it doesn't have any financial impact on the current ratepayer, and that's because of the grant work that happened last year. So it was a very successful year with grants, and now you're starting to see some of that paperwork get finalized.
Yeah, Wellington, Humboldt, Clark,
That's right.
and Lockview Park area, just to confirm what the CO was talking about. Janet was done and finished in 2019, 2020. It was started in the term of council before my first term as mayor, so it'll pick up those other 3 streets plus Lockview Park. So we do have the rest of the bylaws. Any further questions on that particular bylaw, though, while we're on it? Seeing none? Okay. If I could have Councillors Bodner and Hoyle move that the following bylaws be passed and enacted as presented. Bylaw number 7427/11/26, 7428/12/26, 7429/13/26, 7430/14/26, 7431/15/26, and finally 7432/16/26. Questions on any of those? All in favor? That's carried. At this time, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight and those watching on our WeeStream. And at this time, I'll adjourn this meeting.